Yeah, hello, welcome to the DBMS class. In this class, we will be talking about hash based indexing. The objective is we have some certain primitive of hashing. One, we call it as a static hashing. Two, we call it as a dynamic or extendable hashing. So using these two techniques, we will work out towards generating of a index. So that was the main aim of bringing out the hash based indexes. So when we are talking about a hash based indexes, the first thing was towards selecting equality selection. So when we talk about equality selection, we can say Silers dot sid is equals to reserves dot sid. Now we were comparing with a equal to operation, right? This is what we are going to say equality selection. Another example was select star from employee where salary is equals to some 25,000. So now again you are going to make a equal selection, right? So hash based induction, they are purely based or recommended towards equality selection. So when there is an equality selection, probably the hash based indexing works well. Now as far as a hash function is going to be generated, it can be taken up for a random value or for a uniform or a dynamic value or a static value. So we have two searching elements. One we call it as an ISAM, which it is an example for static. B plus tree, which is an example for a dynamic, or we can say it is an example for random. So in this way we take up the things, and the main point what has to be emphasized was it is working with a equality selection. When it is an equality selection, it goes with an equal to symbol. Okay. Now um, the first example what we take up in this indexing will be the static hashing. This was the first example, what we are going to call here as a static hashing. So in static hashing, we will say that uh, the elements are going to be linearly, they are going to be fixed size. One thing we can call it as static hashing. So in static hashing, one we are going to say it is taking up with the fixed size buckets. Second thing, it encourages overflow. Why it is encouraging overflow? Because size is static. Because size is going to be static, that is the reason why the buckets we are going to emphasize with a overflow area. So 0 bucket, 1 bucket, 2, 3, 4, 9. In this way we are going to get the elements. So I can say bucket size is n, and similarly if there was some extensions, now these elements we are going to call as overflow items. So it is implemented with singly linked list. It is going to be implemented with singly linked list. So now how we are going to compute? How we are going to compute was, we will compute with a hash function, and it is going to generate a hash code. So how a hash function or how a hash code is going to be taken up? It is going to be taken up with a formula of h of k mod m. H of k mod m. So now you can say here m is going to give number of buckets. So bucket 0, bucket 1, bucket 2. In this way we will be taking up the bucket elements. Next one, the keys what we are going to say, the keys what we are going to take up, that is the primary key, or what we call it here as a search key item. So search key item, they are of three types. One, key with record ID, or key with list of record IDs, or only the data item with the key, with search key. So these are the three ways what we emphasize on how a key is going to belong. It can belong to any of a thing, pure key like a primary key or a search key. Two, with emphasizing on the entire row, we call it as a record ID. Next one, it emphasizes not pertaining to a single record. It can be pertained to set of multiple records. So when it is taking up or talking up about multiple records, then we are going to call here as a list of record IDs. So now how we are going to compute the element to the bucket? So the next question was how we can map the element to bucket. This was the question. Answer is by hash function. We will determine where the element must fit. So that is the key point what we need to carry out. So how can we map the element to a bucket was, it is by the hash function. Once a hash function is generated, then we can map it whether it is 0 bucket, 1 bucket, 2 bucket. So we will look into that aspect of how a key is going to be generated, from a key how a cache code is going to be generated, and thereby how the primary bucket or how the overflow pages are going to be rendered here. So now at this point of time, what we should understand was, primary bucket pages, they are fixed. Therefore, if new entry comes, it must be in overflow. That was the only key takeaway from this diagram we are going to look into. Fine. Next comes how we are going to put this key. Then from the key we generate a hash code from the hash function. Then we are going to map it to the pages or to the overflow. This is the sequence: key, hash code, hash function. Then we are going to map. Now the question was, what will be the content inside the buckets? The buckets contain the data entries. So we mentioned what this is 0 bucket, 1 bucket, 2 bucket. Now they are going to contain the data entries, and these data entries, they are going to be embedded with the search key items. So now when computing the hashing content, we need a function with the search key with a minimum value of 0 and maximum value of m minus 1. So we are computing this with the hash key is equals to a into key plus b, where we take up with some certain constraints, primary key constraint, not null, unique, all these aspects, they are going to be taken up. And one drawback here was if the overflow was there, then it is going to degrade the performance. So that was the drawback what it was estimated at this point. So we gave this item as a overflow item. So if there are multiple overflows or overflow chain is going to be increased, what it happens was it is going to say it degrades the performance of the hash function. So that is what we are going to embed it at this point. So up to now, we talked about the very first concept called as static hashing. We talked about static hashing as of now. So in static hashing, what was the key takeaway was size is going to be fixed. As size is going to be fixed, and if new data entry comes here, then there is no space. Therefore, we are going to call to the overflow. If overflow is much more, then it is going to degrade the performance. How can I map a key item to the static element was, you can map it from the key, you can call a hash function. Hash function is going to generate a hash code, and that it is going to map to the relevant buckets at this point. So this is the key item regarding talking about the static hashing. So what will be the bucket contain? Bucket are going to contain the pure data elements. So this is all regarding the static hashing. Next comes the word, we call it as dynamic hashing. Next comes the word we call here as dynamic hashing. So at this point of time, dynamic hashing is also called as extendable hashing. First key takeaway. Dynamic hashing is also called as extendable hashing. This was the first key takeaway. Next key takeaway. What were the problem with static hashing was size is going to be fixed. Size is going to be fixed. So it cannot be enlarged. That was the drawback in the static hash. So the drawback in static hashing was it cannot be enlarged and it cannot be expanded. Similarly, it cannot be contrasted. Always size is going to be fixed. So even when the database increases or size decreases, the bucket size is common, and only thing remedy was you are going to solve the problem with the overflow chain. So that is the only solution what we are providing. Now, what if we can add buckets, or what if we remove the buckets whenever needed? So dynamically sense here whenever needed. Whenever needed is nothing but on demand. Okay. So why to take a fixed size buckets? Sometimes database may occupy those buckets. Sometimes database may not occupy the buckets. That was the drawback what we are talking about the static hashing. To eliminate that drawback in the static hashing, we are now bringing the word called as a dynamic hashing. The pet name for the dynamic hashing, we are going to call it as a extendable hashing. And what it is telling that the blocks what we are going to look into it, they can enlarge nor they can surpass. That is, they can enlarge or they are going to decrease. So that feature was there. So on demand, it is simultaneously growing up. On demand, it is simultaneously growing up, and it can have accommodation for more number of values. So that is the advantage when the hash function is going to take up over the dynamic hashing. So another advantages what we can look was uh, the performance is not going to be decreased as the data grows. So earlier in static hashing we made a main, then we made overflow. In this way, chain is growing up. So here performance will degrade. Performance will degrade because of the uh, overflow chain is going to be accepted. But now in dynamic hashing, there is no performance drop. So that was the key takeaway why we are proposing the dynamic hashing. And second thing, whenever there is a demand, then it is enlarging itself, where it is increasing itself, thereby it is accommodating the uh, data. So the bucket size, it will drastically improve from one position to another position, and it is mapping up with a pointer value, which we will see it with an example. So memory is going to be accommodated data by the simple increase in size of the content. Second one. So memory will be utilized as it is going to grow or it is going to shrink. And when there is a drop in memory, those memory locations can be used to something else. When there is a need, memory is going to be allocated to it. When there is no need, we can say unused memory is not going to be participant towards the dynamic hashing memory. So this is purely suitable for a database which can grow or for a database which can shrink frequently. So that means assume we are working on some IRCTC database. So in IRC database, we can book tickets, right? That means what was the thing we are going to call? Database is going to grow. Then we will cancel the booked tickets. So cancel the booked tickets, or we can say reserve the tickets. So what is an example here? We can say it is shrinking phase. So in IRCC, in the railway reservation, what we are going to use a website. So websites transactions happen for booking of the train tickets. So all of a sudden, if somebody, if you don't travel, you will cancel your ticket. Then at one point of time, database was enlarging. Another point of time, database was shrinking. So those are ways where the dynamic hashing is going to accommodate such scenarios. Now, we were telling extendable hashing, or we are going to call the other name as a dynamic hashing. So now buckets where we are going to accommodate data, we are going to accommodate data entries. So these data entries, they are filled up with the primary pages. They are purely filled up with the uh, primary pages. And when data has to enlarge, now this is important. When data has to be enlarged, it must double the bucket size. This is purely important for you. So I am going to say n is equals to 4. Now I am having 1, 2, 3, 4. Now all of a sudden fifth entry come. Now you can say full. Now what happens? I have to double the capacity. I have to double the capacity. Then I can add something and give a pointer to this element. So in this way we are managing extendable, or we are managing the dynamic hashing. So how we are doubling the buckets? The question was how we are doubling the buckets. For example, if I can say CSC A was initially there and its capacity was 60 students. Excuse me. So its capacity was for 60 students. Now CSC B came. Now capacity was for 120 students. Now what? We have to double it. Now I can link this, right? I can link this pointer to 1 and 2. Then CSC C came. Now I am going to increase the capacity to triple. So 180 students are available. Now I am going to increase the classroom size. Increase the classroom size. I can give this as 101, 101, 102. Then I can give it as 101, 102 and 103. Now what we are going to provoke here? Initial capacity, the bucket size was only for 60 students. One section increased. Now I can bring one more room, one more bucket, and I can say label CSE A, CSE B. Now the size is for 120 students. Then I take an intake of 180 students. Now I will give 3 rooms for them. Each room capacity was 60 students. Then I will label it as second CSCA, second CSCB, second CSCC. Then what is going to say here? We are linking one classroom with another classroom. Linking, it is going to take up the concept of pointers. But in static hashing, it is like a overflow buckets. It is like a overflow buckets. But in dynamic hashing, we are adjusting the size of a memory by fixing up the buckets with the doubling, tripling, etc. Then we are going to use the pointer concept. Then we are going to use the pointer concept, which is embedded in a directory structure, and thereby we are linking one directory to another directory. Now the basic thing was there is no overflow. So in extendable hashing, we are not emphasizing on the overflow concept as of now. Now, here is an example where we are implementing the directory structure for hashing, that too for the dynamic hashing, or we can call it as an extendable hashing. Here is an example what we are going to demonstrate for dynamic hashing or for the extendable hashing. So now let us look into the first part of the example. So in this first part of an example, we are going to create the size of an array was 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The size of an array was 4 here. Next one. Now we are naming the buckets. This point naming the buckets at this point. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 entities. Then it is a combination of binary 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. 0, 0 stands for 0, 0, 1 stands for 1, 1, 0 stands for 2, 1, 1 stands for 3. So altogether, we define the global depth as 2. So we will be getting 2 square concept. Now the array size we are going to give it with the 4. Now from the directory structure, it is mapped to the data pages. From the directory structure, it is mapped to the data pages. Now you should understand, girls, here 2 and 2, it is of the same level here. So it is following the second order, or we can say second level directory structure. It is following up the second level directory structure. What is second? 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1 level directory structure. Okay, next question. In bucket were A, Y4, Y12, Y32, Y16, why not 10, why not 1, why not 19, why not X, why not Z? Why did you put only these elements? Okay, fine. Now, we should understand at this point of time, 0, 0 was towards 0, 0 at the first position, 0, 1 at the second position, 1, 0 at the third position, 1, 1 at the fourth position. This was the common order. Now let us see here. 0, 0. Now I write 8, 4, 2, 1, 16, 32. Now what is the value of 4? Value of 4 was like this, isn't it not? 0, 0. Next one. What is the value of 12? 8 plus 4 is equals to 12. Remaining positions are 0. So that is 0, 0. Next one. I take up 32 here. 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now 0, 0. Next 16. 16, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now you should understand the last two positions for all of these entries 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That is the reason why they are put in this bucket. Who put it? Who? It is nothing but the hash function. It is nothing but the hash function. It has generated a code and it has found that equivalent and then it raised the things. Okay. Now let us verify for 1, let us verify for 5, let us verify for 21, let us verify for 13. Again 8, 4, 2, 1. So 8, 4, 2, 1. I can write 16 also here. So 8, 4, 2, 1. Now, how can I write 1, 0, 1, right? Remaining elements are zeros. Remaining elements are zeros. Next one. How can I write 5? 5 is nothing but 1, 0, 1. Remaining positions I can put it as 0, 0. How can I write 21? 16 plus 4 is equals to 20, and if I add 1 it becomes 21. Rest of the things I gave it as 0, 0. Now how can I write 13? So 13, 8 plus 4, 12 and 1, these are needed and remaining things are not needed. Now consider girls. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. So where is 0, 1? So all the 0, 1s now they are put into this bucket. So now you should understand why not 13 I put, why did I put 13 here? Why didn't I put 14 here? No, it is not the scenario what we have to check. We have to check up on local depth and we have to check up on global depth. we have to check it on local depth, on we are going to check with the global depth. So global depth, it is pointing out on the directories, data entries, it is data pages, it is making up the local depth. So both they are going to have the similarities. Now verify this 10 also. So now I can write 8421. So what is 10 here? 1010. So you can say 8 plus 2 is equals to 10. This is 10. So that is the reason why we mapped 10 is equals to 10. Next one. Next one was we have 15, we have 7, and we have 19. Now let us write the things for this. So I can write 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. What is 15 here? 15 is 8 plus 4, 12. 12 plus 2, 14. 14 plus 1, 15. Now the two commonalities, 1, 1. How can I write 7? 7, I can write it as 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. That is 4 plus 2 plus 1 is equals to 1, 1, 1. So I have written 7 at this point. Next one, how can I write 19 here? So 19 is 16 plus 2 plus 1. Remaining positions I can put 0 here. Now I can say 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So this is why we brought this 1, 1 here. So Y15 is placed in the fourth bucket. Y19 is put in the fourth bucket. There is no ambiguity. The ambiguity was the last two entities, the local depth entities, it was positioning to 1, 1. Therefore, when we compute a hash function, the last two digits are verified. If they are going to be common, that element is pushed into that bucket. So 1, 5, 21, and 13. What is the common in between all the four numbers? On all the four numbers, the common was the least significant bits, the last two least significant bits, the low order bits, 0, 1 is going to be placed in the last two positions of the low order bit. So the 1, 5, 21, and 13, they are going to have the common bits. That is the reason why they are pushed to this element. Now, we talked about, at this point, we talked about the array size here. Array size was 4. Then we were talking that we will find the bucket with the global depth. That is, we computed with h of r, that is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. And then h of r, how it is going to be denoted. So here it is 0, 1. Then I take 5, 5, 8, 4, 2, 1. So 5 I can take it as 0, 1, 0. So the last two positions, it is compared here. We make a equality such element. So that is the reason why 5 was in the second bucket. So as simple as that. If it is with directory structure, we call it as global depth. If it is with the data pages, we call it as local depth. If it is with the directory structure, we call it as global depth. If it is with the data pages, now we call it as data pages. Up to here, everything is okay. Now what to do? Let us see how a insert operation is going to take up. Let us see the same example, how a insert operation is going to take up. For example, for example, 4, 12, 32, and 16. N is equals to 4. The array size was 4. So now here I can say the data item was full here. If the data item was full, what I should do? You should go and split. You should go and split. At this point, no overflow. At this point, there is no overflow for this item. So what we have to do was we have to allocate a new page. So part 1, part 2, right? Part 1, part 2. Movie title followed by part 1. Movie title followed by part 2. We are not changing the movie title. What we are changing? We are changing what movie it is, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. So part 1, part 2, part 3, we are going to increase. We are not changing the episode names, we are not changing the serial names, we are not changing the bucket names. We can call it as A1 bucket, A2 bucket, A3 bucket. So as mentioned in my previous example, CSCA, second CSCA, second CSCB, second CSCC, we didn't change the name of second CSC. What we changed? We changed only section name A, B, and C. Similarly, if a bucket is going to be full, we have to split the bucket and we have to redistribute it. We have to redistribute it. Now, question was, if I redistribute was, question was, if I am going to redistribute, will the directory structure changes? Will the local depth, will the global depth changes? Answer is yes. Answer is yes. If there is a split in a bucket, definitely we need to update the global depth and we need to update the local depth. So both are essential. So until unless the bucket is full, there is no problem at all. If the bucket size is full, then serial episode 1, serial name episode 2. So in this way, we have to keep the constant bucket there, followed by part 1, part 2, part 3 we are going to include. So it will be A1 followed by A2 followed by A3. So now how we are going to improvise the things? Now, how we are going to improvise the things? So, in order to improvise the things, now we will check both the sizes of local depth and both the sizes of the global depth. We will improvise both the sizes of the local depth and both the sizes of the global depth. So here we need to split, we need to rearrange. That is nothing but we are doubling the size of a bucket. So first of all, the hash R value is 20. That means 8, 4, 2, 1, 16. So 16 plus 4 is 20. Remaining elements I am going to put it as zeros. Now you can see the last two significant positions are 0, 0. 0, 0. Now it is mapped to this position and you are comparing this 0, 0 identity element with the 0, 0 element at this point. So now you are going to compare 0 and 0 here. That means we have to split. We have to split A. We have to split A. Why we have to split A? The reason was I'm going to have 4, I'm going to have 12, I'm going to have 32, I'm going to have 16. Now if I insert 20 here, if I am going to insert 20 here, bucket was full. What to do? You have to split, you have to redistribute, you have to double it. So these are the principles. First principle, split. Second principle, redistribute. Third principle, doubling. So as 20 has to be inserted, now you need to go with the splitting redistributing mechanism at this point. Why 20? The reason was 20 we are going to compute the hash function code with 168421. So it is 10100. So 00 it is matching with the local depth. It is mapping with the local depth. So now what we are going to do is we take two elements at this point, 13 and 16. Then we are going to map up 4, 12 and 20 into the another bucket. Fine. So now question was, why did we put 32 and 16 here? Why did we put 4, 20, 12 and 20 here? Why not we kept 4, 12, 20 in the first position? Why didn't we put 13 and 16 in the second question, right? That was the raising question, right? Yeah, if the size is full, you split it, put two elements there, put two elements there. But why did you distribute 4, 12, 20 into one? And why did you distribute 32, 16 into another? So this was the question which is rising into our mind. Okay, fine. So now let us solve that question. So we have elements 4, 12, 20, 32 and 16. We have elements 4, 12, 20 was new one. Then the other two elements was 32 and 16. 32 and 16. Now I can write 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. 4 I can write 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. 12 I can write 0, 1, 0, sorry, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. 20 I can write 16 plus 4 is 20. Remaining elements are zeros. 32 I can write 16 plus 4, 16 plus 8, 24, 28, 30. So everything is 32 here. So these are all zeros at this point. Next one, I am pulling out 16 here. So 16. So remaining elements I am putting zeros here. Now if the depth is 2, if the depth is 2, then all zeros for all values. Now next question. If depth is 3, if depth is 3, then you can observe 4 and 12 value was 100, isn't it? 4 and 12 value was 100, and 20, 32, 16 are segment here. So now, what was our previous question? Why did you put 4 and 12 at one position? Why didn't you put 12 in another position? That was the question. Now what was the answer? 4 and 12, the third bit position, that is when the depth was 3. When the depth was 3, it is 100. But here when the depth was 2, it is only 00. Now all the elements are putting up into these elements. So now you can see 0, 0, 0, that is 20, 32 and 16, it is 0, 0, 0. But when it is 4 and 12, now the depth was 100. So that is the reason why we segregated 32 and 6 here, 4, 12 and 20 into the another bucket. So what we will stop our class here in interest of time. So